Welcome everyone. I'm super excited to have Gaia. Is it Weiss or Weiss?
Actually either. Weiss is the Jamaican pronunciation. That's where my father's family is from. But since immigrating to the United States, the more common pronunciation of my original last name is Weiss. But I changed it to WXYZ many years ago because everyone was misspelling it anyway. And actually, I came up with the WXYZ part because they had just come out with like the new domain name extensions, like .art
Ah,
or like .world. And as I was like typing in and just sort of like riffing on different URLs, I noticed like Gaia W.XYZ was like nice and short. And it's not a perfect pronunciation of my name, but if you look at it and you're like, yeah, I can see how that's Weiss. So the more common pronunciation would be Weiss, but really Gaia Weiss is quite appropriate. So you can feel free to say that.
sweet. So we have Gaia Weiss, and she's an amazing artist, creative, and cartoonist. And I think you've been working on comics for a lot longer than I have. So super kudos to you. This is the Oakland Creates Art Maker series where I talk to local artists about what they do. I'm going to share my screen really quickly and then have you introduce yourself. Let's see. Share my screen, share my screen. Right. Boom. So this I'm gonna put your bio up, but feel free, please introduce yourself in your own words.
Yes. So and it's interesting because here CCA still has my legal last name, but that's
Hmm.
okay. Um yeah, I'm originally from West Palm Beach, Florida. I live in Oakland now. I am teaching at both UC Berkeley and CCA, teaching comic art. At CCA, I'm teaching through the Critical Ethnic Studies department, so I'm actually teaching a class there called Race and Comics, where I give like a very comprehensive history of, specifically in the United States, like race and how it applies to people's lives using the material of comics and the genre and medium of comics to tell the history of the various different racial groups that live in this country. So I've been doing that since 2021. I got my Master's of Fine Arts in Comics from CCA class of 2020. That's right. I walked my graduation behind a laptop. And um, I have been, I first started drawing very young. Like some of my earliest memories are of drawing. I have art from elementary school, in fact, in my archives still.
Nice.
So I've been writing characters and telling stories since I was a child, honestly. I mean, I think I got really serious about it in middle school. There are still deviant art accounts in from like 2003, 2004 with like my cat girls, for instance, that I actually show to my students because at least right now, that's around the time some of them were even born. So I like to joke like, I've been doing this since you were born. I know I don't look old, but um yeah, I've it's interesting because although this is something I've been doing for a very long time, I've found that circumstances and life's challenges have been getting in the way of me being able to produce the long form piece that I've been writing for many years. So
Mm,
um I got into teaching so soon after grad school, like a year after I graduated from grad school,
mm,
that a lot of my career at this moment has been very focused on learning how to teach on the higher level. And I think I've been doing a great job at that, but I will admit that my own practice has been a little bit deprioritized, although I am changing that and things. I feel like I'm entering a new renaissance of creativity right now, which is really exciting. And that's why I feel like it's an exciting time for me to be having this interview with you, because about a year ago I moved into this studio space. I had a studio space in West Oakland previously, but now I'm closer to downtown and just really happy to be settling into this new art space and really feeling like, oh man, this is going to be the spot where I make the graphic novel. And
dope.
everything's kind of coming together in this very special way.
Awesome. So, I don't know if you remember, right around the same time that you graduated, you produced artwork for Oakland Creates, the art comics and zine fest that I've been curating, and I really still love this artwork. And there's so many people that resonate with this, and I mean it's one of the top selling T-shirts when we screen print it. I mean, people really love this art. Can you talk a little bit about how you develop the characters and what it actually? I never asked you what it meant to you because it's right in the middle of the pandemic, really.
Yeah, honestly, the pandemic hit very hard for me. I was living in shared housing, but I was living with people who weren't like my friends or family.
Mm,
So the isolation was just really heavy. And I was definitely turning to art as like a way to channel the desire for connection. And I think that this piece, when I look at it, I'm very proud of it still 5 years later. I had just gotten into using this one app for the iPad called Adobe Fresco.
mm,
Actually, I was one of the people who got a chance to beta test this app before it was released to the public while I was in grad school.
wow.
They came to one of my classes and offered $500 to beta test the app and create an artwork.
Sweet.
So I had used it before it was released to the public, but I do remember this was one of the first pieces that I had made once the app was released. And what I really like about it is that it has a vector brush tool, meaning that like when you do your inking, and I was talking to you about this at the Berkeley Public Library Comic Con,
Right,
um, as opposed to being like pixel based. So when you resize the images, they get kind of blurry and like the computer's trying to compensate for smoothing and stuff. This uses vectors, which is what Adobe Illustrator mostly uses, and people hate that program for drawing, and I agree it's like not intuitive or good for that. But
right,
what Adobe managed to do is make a software where you can draw just like you're drawing with a regular brush, but when you resize it, it stays crisp. So
right,
that's how I was able to get so detailed with it. Because like looking at it now, I'm like, man, I was really putting a lot of detail into like the hair and even just like drawing the actual like Oakland tree logo.
right,
It was a fun challenge because when you're designing something for like a shirt, you want it to be legible even from far away, you know? So, um, actually, when I was designing these characters, I really put a lot of thought into like who I see in Oakland. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like
yeah,
the people that I think represent Oakland, like Indigenous people, queer people, Black people, children, families, moms, and then like a random white dude astronaut. you know um just to keep things fun. I also was working on an anti-racist mini library around the same time
okay,
that was space themed. So I was painting these astronauts on like this I wonder if I could find it. I don't I'm really I like to joke that after I die, somebody's gonna have a big job of trying to archive and collect all the random stuff I've done because it's like all over the place, right? But I had a lot of fun creating this anti-racist mini library and drawing these like an alien with an afro and like, space woman reading Octavia Butler. So I was really thinking I feel like characters are just constantly coming to me all the time, and it doesn't really take a lot of effort for me to think like, oh, I'm thinking about like a mom with a baby and the baby's like playing with her hair, because I think that's just such a lovely gesture of uh connection, and like I
right,
said, so much of what we were missing in that moment was connection. But I think about connecting safely, so I put masks on them, right? So like you can see
yeah,
that the masks are there. But then when I tried to just have them masked without the like nose and mouth, they felt too anonymous. So I
mm,
decided to just like play with, like how in manga, like that people will have like hair that goes down through their eyes, but you can like see the eyes anyway. Like
right,
playing with transparency and just making it so like, yeah, we're all protecting ourselves, we're all masking, but like it's art, so I can show like the faces behind that, which we
yeah.
don't get to see necessarily.
Well, it's a lovely piece, and I appreciate you doing it, and also just the whole idea too around the tree logo and connecting everyone by everyone painting a piece of it. I think that's just genius.
Thank you. I
And so
think I'd like to do You know how artists will do like a then and now? I think I'll try to redraw this. I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know if I'll get it done in time for the next convention, but I would love to revisit it because it is a great concept.
For sure. And like I said, I saw a few pieces on the CCA website. I mean, this is something I always seem to, we talk about not having enough time to get our work done. And I have a huge to-do list myself for CCA, for Oakland Creates
Oakland
myself
Creates.
right now. And I'm feeling that angst that you represent so well in this comic. Can you talk a little bit about just the art style overall, but the overarching theme I think that we all feel about just not having enough time?
You know, I actually have this as a slideshow if you want me to read it.
Oh no, just I'm
Okay, just
really
talk
more
about it. Okay, I
I'm
wanted
more
to
yeah,
okay.
the behind
So
the scenes ideas behind it.
it's so funny because this actually functioned as the thesis project for when I was in grad school. So it was my final project, and
Hmm.
my final project was about how I don't have time to make my project. um it is actually I when I think about this chapter, it's a chapter of the graphic novel that is sort of like the world building project I've been thinking about for like over a decade and a half at this point because I wrote the script for chapters 2 and 3 as my undergraduate thesis. So I have like a 65-page graphic novel script that's just like on ice right now that I've been
Holy
waiting
moly.
to draw. So that takes place in like this other world, but I love stories like the Twilight Zone or like Tales from the Crypt where there's like a frame narrative, right? Where they're like enter the world of Gaia's brain. So
Oh.
it kind of this is like the story before the story where I'm like, oh, it's so hard to be. And at this point, I didn't even have the job as an adjunct yet. I was just talking about working at the comic shop and being a party animal. um, and I'm still that to a certain degree, although I have calmed down in my 30s. Um, this comic for me was a another pandemic creation actually. I started working on it for grad school and I got to this point where I had established the style of like super detailed hair and like backgrounds that are like painted while I was working in an artist residency in SF at a spot called the Growlery, which doesn't exist in SF anymore, but
Hmm.
I had a couple of friends in an art collective called the Five Thirds Art Collective. It's an all black art collective, and they were like, "Hey, come hang out with us for like 2 weeks in this mansion."
Wow.
And that was such an out of my normal day-to-day experience thing that I felt super inspired and I was like super focused and I sat down at my iPad and just started like really working on it and that's where I made a lot of the progress. And then after the residency, I came home and was like hit by that reality and that's when I decided to like make it more about the next page after this is like me digging. I think it's yeah, exactly. Me with a shovel, like digging through the other shit, right? To get to my art and this like to-do list of like all the things in life that we have to get done every day, right? And
Wow.
I think about that a lot, how like a lot of the like
Excuse me.
great artists of the world, like they had servants, dude. Like they had a wife, like they had people in their life, like doing a lot of the behind the scenes support work that gave them the unbroken periods of time to just
Yeah.
like do it all. And our job as people in 2025 who have to take care of ourselves, we don't have that, is to like be more disciplined and say like, oh, I have like 30 minutes right now that I'm going to work and I'm not just going to like scroll on Instagram instead, you know? Like
Right.
we're faced with like constant distraction and like the constant potential to just like serve our time and data up to these companies that art really feels even more like resistance now because they are really pushing AI and really making it seem like oh it's not worth your time to like these pages took me hours to do, you know what I mean, like these drawings are not fast work. And I think about the way that it's like the golden cage of like, sure, I'm entertained, but it's been years, I think, of my life where I've let the spell of social media sort of steal my free moments, and I'm working now to like fight back against that. And it really does feel like being an artist is even more of an act of resistance in that way, because other people see that and they're like, "Oh, I can live that way too." Like I notice it a lot as a college teacher. I have a rule with my students where I'm like, no phones in the classroom, and they struggle with it. I'm like having to remind them all the time, like, hey, remember what I said? Like, go pick up a book or something, right? And
Yeah,
that says a lot about where we're at as a
it
society.
does. That's kind of shocking, actually. I mean, I think I talked to, I don't know who it was, Stacy Robinson or someone, about how because I record on my phone, that's a luxury that I don't have, and it's actually been really, really awesome to have to be forced to put the phone down because I'm recording on it when I'm drawing or making art, and so I'm freed from that for at least 3 or 4, 5 hours because I'm actively recording on my phone. So I have all this time to focus,
Ah, I see. You're using it to create time lapses and stuff.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I can hone in on my drawing and not worry about being distracted by TikTok or Instagram,
yeah.
whatever.
That's
Um,
because you're using it like a tool and not like a drug. And a lot of young people, it's like their binky, it's like their
yeah.
safe, it's like their safety blanket.
Mm.
So
And that's a great way to phrase that, express that. It is a tool. It is not something I get gratification or that constant dopamine hit is not. Thank God I'm old enough, to know life before social media where I didn't need that external validation. And
yeah,
I'm still so happy to if I'm happy, whether or not
that's
go
uh,
ahead.
sorry, that's so true, because I feel like I'm in a bridge generation because I grew up with a computer in the house, but smartphones didn't exist yet, right? So I feel lucky in the same way that you were saying I make art for myself. I don't make art because I want to post it online. When
Exactly.
I this the addiction that I deal with is I just like to learn, and I like my algorithm is very pushed towards like learn how to draw this new thing, or like learn this fact about the ocean, right? Like they catch us by tuning everything to our interests, so it feels, yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm interested in that dopamine hit and how to notice it and turn it back towards my own work, as opposed to letting it just be drowned in this endless feed of entertainment. Whereas my students, I think some of them are so influenced by social media that it changes the way they think about being an artist. And they're like, oh, well, I'm not good, because they're comparing themselves to all these artists they see on social
Oh,
media. And
that's
it's like,
wild.
I would never compare myself to an artist I saw in like the museum or something, because I know
Exactly. Yeah.
this
That's wild.
artist has been working forever, like they don't
Yeah.
have any sense of perspective.
Yeah.
And taking things back a notch, I feel like that, like the story that I'm telling on this page is very much like, oh, it's so hard to be an artist and a human. But I think the bigger picture thing that I'm thinking about is like, actually, to be an artist is a lot of work. Like it's not just, oh wow, I make beautiful pictures and everyone loves them. It's like I struggle. I make things that don't make any sense
No, or
for
just
a
like
while before it starts to look good again.
yeah, but like you were saying, the algorithm for me is so much about because I've been working on grief and loss and loneliness. So mine is all about self-awareness and development and healing and our emotional, psychological journey and healing ourselves and also just ways to you know connect with each other in a outside of the internet, outside of online spaces, right? And how we can bring ourselves together in real time in real spaces. And so I'm really happy about that being the baseline for my algorithm. And then that leads out into my real life, and art is a part of that. I've been working on it started as a zine. It's probably gonna become a graphic novel about grief and just connecting one-on-one with people at Comic Cons and at Zine Fest about their experience, their journey, I think is so much more meaningful than looking at whatever social media and even thinking about art. I mean, I have artists that I follow, but I really cherish the moments where we can sort of talk about what it means to express ourselves through art, but not necessarily how we're making the art or how good it looks or the final product or commodity piece of it, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so a lot of times I think younger people, that's all they see is the end goal. And that's with a lot of things, not just art, but with just lives in general. So many people look at the brass ring or what's over the rainbow, the finish line as the destination. And that's like always been true. Like that is when I'll be happy. It's not all the incremental steps that it takes to get there and develop and change myself as a human being. And those pockets are where you find the joy, right?
Yes.
That we're so sometimes so focused on the end that we aren't grateful for the now, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a constant lesson, I think.
And it's amplified even more now with social media being in your face and like you said, the comparison and oh, I'm not at this stage yet and I'm behind everyone else and I just have to meet the requirements of people that you're never going to meet and that don't really give a shit about where you are and who you are. And they, for
Yeah.
some reason, have given their power away as the standard, this gold standard based on people they'll never know. And they don't even know if it's real. It's
I
probably not,
know they're saying that half the internet traffic is bots now anyway.
or
So
even
I
just
think,
the images and stuff it's all curated, it's all fake.
yeah,
And so
that's why,
you're
I
basing your
mean,
standard on that. BS.
there there's like a real renaissance of convention culture, I think, like small press and festivals for this very reason. We want to get together and really see each other's work in real life and um be reminded of that. The how tangible the connections are. It's not just random people on the internet. It's like the people down the street from you who want to see your work.
And even just
Oh,
get immersed in each other's lives outside of the work too. I think that's the bigger piece for me over the years is that oh, I'm actually building relationships and friendships with people, and it's not just about what talent or art that they have. It's not their productivity is like a great sort of icebreaker, right? Or the commonality of making art is a great intro into someone's life, but what are they really about and what is who are they and what's important to them and how we align with each other outside of art making.
absolutely. Yeah, I think most of my close friends are creative in some way, whether that be through art or music. And I just tend to gravitate towards people who feel that internal urge to express themselves in some way. And I think that the connections that I've made through comics are really dear to my heart.
Yeah, and just have something to say and use their voice. I really emphasize at Oakland Creates, let's use our voices, use our talent to connect with each other and our community. And and especially times like this, I don't think it's a good idea to go silent. I don't think it's a good idea to want to fit in. I think this is when we want to stand out and really, you know, prioritize really the important things, right? And making sure that each of us are okay because we're the only ones checking on each other.
Yeah, we're all we got at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah, for sure. I really like the painterly style that you're talking about here. Is there any particular technique, or you said you're using fresco? I mean, I'm such a newbie when it comes to digital art, and this is just amazing to me. I think we worked together, and you colored some of my other drawings, and my mouth just falls open. Like I'm so not there yet. I'm just like super basic, getting colors in the right place. Talk a little bit about all the different, if you can, some of the techniques that you use
Oh
to.
yeah, totally. I'm happy to talk about that. I could talk about that all day, in fact. So I'm a product, like I said, I'm this bridge generation where I'm in my mid 30s. Like I grew up in a time where smartphones were not a thing, but my mother's a software engineer. So I did grow up with a computer in the house and I had the first version of Photoshop I used was version 5.5. So I was
Mm.
about 8 years old when I started uh copying Sailor Moon manga, scanning it into the computer, and then I found a tutorial online where they showed me how to color Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z, right? And learning how to like set the layer properties and stuff. Like I learned all of that on my own, self-taught. So everything that's come after that has just been a function of time and practice. But I also did go to like the equivalent of the Oakland School of the Arts in my hometown in Florida. So
Okay.
I did receive like formal painting training as well. So I understand how light works. I especially enjoy working in color, although as a comic artist, that is challenging because it puts a lot more time into every page, right? So
Yeah.
I've been rethinking the way that I can do color in a more, let's say, a more efficient way than the way I did these pages, right? So this was for my graduate thesis. So I wanted to make something that was going to be really impressive, that was going to really pop. And so a lot of the painterly details that I was doing here involve the watercolor brushes. So
Okay.
like the redwood tree, I think I was using a combination of like the inking brush in the brown to like lay out some of the basic details, and then the watercolor brushes with the green and the darker blue. So this is actually like I am not afraid to use reference. That's the other thing. This bottom left spread, the full bleed, is actually just Google Street View, believe it or
Ah,
not.
okay.
Yeah, like I just took a screenshot of Google Street View, and my block had some nice graffiti on that fence next to it, like the light coming in through the trees. That was all pretty much from the photo reference.
Nice.
So for me, the trick with working with reference has always been how do you balance with your own style the fact that you're using a reference so it's not like super obvious. And although I can tell I used a photo reference here because I drew it, like I think if somebody were to look at this, they wouldn't think, oh, that looks so different than everything else on the
No,
page. You know
I
what
would
I
not
mean?
have known unless you told me.
Yeah.
And that's something I struggle with too with my comic since it's all based in Oakland and you can quite easily, like you said, if they Google it, I don't want it to be just a drawing version of whatever they find on Google. So the balance of making it your own is a real struggle. But yeah, I think that's part of the fun. That's part of the challenge.
Yeah, it's a lot of leaving stuff out.
Yeah.
Like you'll notice there I don't really outline some of the shadows in that car. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just let your eye decide where that car ends and the road begins. So for me, it's actually a lot of like photos take all the information in, right? But cartooning is all about abstraction. So I try to think about like cartoonifying my reference.
And that's what
And
really our eyes do anyway, right? Our eyes make these
exactly.
decisions that from memory and not necessarily what we're looking at in front of us anyway. So,
And rest in peace to Frankenstein. That's my cat who just passed away earlier
oh,
this year.
so
Yeah.
sorry.
He's gonna be in my heart forever, and I love to see him in this piece.
Huh. So let's jump into some of the interview questions. I'll stop
Sure.
sharing so we can see your beautiful face. So where did you grow up in Florida?
Yes, so I'm actually from West Palm Beach, Florida, which is right across the Intracoastal Waterway from Palm Beach Island, where all of the terrible, depraved stories that are coming out about the president
Oh
are
no.
from. So it's been an extra intense time for me because I actually have been to Mar-a-Lago before, and
Mm,
family members actually worked there. So it's just it's a strange place to be from, but at the same time, it was a beautiful place. Like the water, you can swim easily in the ocean there, unlike here in California where you have to train your body for the cold. It was also a diverse place. I grew up in a neighborhood with immigrants from Central America, Latin America, the Caribbean.
okay.
So it felt good as a brown child, to be able to play in the street with other kids that were like me
Right.
and have a lot of diversity. Um, so yeah, I'm a Floridian, born and raised, but I have not lived there since 2009.
Wow. So I ask other artists too, is there one memory or one instance you can think of as a child, even where you kind of got that bug or that validation, like, hey, I could become an artist, I can do this as a career. Was there some one thing that happened when you were younger?
Well, I think I said this at the very beginning that like that I've been doing art since as long as I can remember. I really truly have always enjoyed being creative
Okay.
in all sorts of ways. Dancing, playing music, making art. They all felt equally important and beautiful to me as a young child. I do remember having an art teacher in elementary school. Her name was Miss Divine. She had Frida Kahlo, Keith Haring. Oh gosh, she introduced me to some artists at a very young age, like second, third, fourth, fifth grade. Um, that really blew my mind. And I remember doing a watercolor painting of a hibiscus flower and just like really feeling the material of the watercolor paint
Mm,
and enjoying the close observation. Georgia O'Keeffe, that was who we were making flower portraits inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe.
sweet.
And I really did a good job on my hibiscus flower. And actually, I had to audition to get into middle school. That the arts middle and high school that I went to had an audition process, and I remember bringing that hibiscus painting and the judges being very impressed by it. So I would say that it was watercolor painting that really initially put it in my mind like this is something that I could really excel at. And then after that, it was just okay, I'm on this train. This train's moving.
Nice. So